Hi everybody, one of those welcome to my place, let's have a chat kind of videos. I think just keep it short. The other day I did a live stream for the first time for a little while, and I really enjoyed it. Did about an hour's worth of playing 45s, just the B-sides mostly. I later on I chucked in a couple of A's, and it was a fantastic way to get the records out there. I like doing those videos where I dance about, prance about, but it gets people listening to the song. And I think a song is really good and you need to hear it. A lot of the time we make suggestions and no one bothers to go and listen. There will be the exceptional few. But it's a good way to do it. Again, most times when I play music, people will go, "Oh, I really like that," and I've picked it up, and I've got messages lately saying, "Oh, that video you showed back then, I bought that record, or I just bought this one," and that's really good, isn't it? That's what this is all about. I buy records off the back of what people show. But it was a really good session, and I may do them again, but maybe next time I'll tell you when I'm going to do it. I had to I took the video down. The video was taken down through the processing process. It took hours to process, so it was up for quite a while. But YouTube took it down worldwide because of a copyright issue, and I believe it was the penultimate song, Little Willie John, that did it. Anyway, because I was deliberately playing obscure stuff. But the temptation to play that single got me as I was going through the box. So there you go. Anyway, I picked this up the other day. Stunty showed it, or he's playing a bit of it. And I thought I quite liked the sound of it. I listened online to some of it. This is Susumu Yokota and Sakura, the album from 1999. It's a sort of ambient electronic album. A few more beats here and there. And listening online, it just sounded really nice. But when I played it on the CD player, I thought, you know what? I'm not liking this at all. I didn't like the sound of it. Partly it may be a mood thing, you know what it's like. But it was a little bit like, I'm not enjoying this. I don't like and I'm going to say it, the digital sound. That doesn't really bother me. A lot of the time I listen to a lot of dance music and whatnot, But in this album, for some reason, it really, I probably just need to listen to it again. It is it's a 4 out of 5 star record, probably. The record itself sells for quite a lot. And the first side in particular is very good. I think there's a couple of weak moments later on. And this is why it's worth picking up sometimes. You just pay £3 including postage. If I'd have paid 10 quid for this, I'd have been a bit disappointed. But it's a good thing about these days, and you listen online anyway. I very rarely buy CDs now. I very rarely buy anything online, really. But it was an interesting experiment. I recommend going to listen to that album because there's some great stuff on it, but it's not all that. Sorry, Stanley. He won't be watching. He played a record the other day on a stream. I made the comment, let's be honest, this is crap. Oh, this sucks. And he said, you suck. But sometimes it's not all great. A lot of it is, but not always. Anyway, I'm 4 minutes in. I can't believe it. Oh dear, I was going to do it quick. I was thinking the other day, when I was playing those singles in particular, of playing late 50s, early 60s singles, what happened to harmonies? What happened to harmonies? You very rarely hear harmonies anymore. It's like a lost art. You hear a lot of kind of pop music and R&B, and they have 2 or 3 different singers in a group maybe. But they tend to all be singing the same thing, or maybe sharing the vocals or whatever. But the art of harmony, where did it go? When did it die? Those records I played And I'm going to probably do a video or 2 or 3 videos of the singles I played. And I know that they're hard to sit through, sort of just sitting there watching someone play records sometimes. Depends on the record, of course. But the harmonies and the backing singers were just wonderful, and they made the thing atmospheric and, although of that time, quite timeless, and you just feel a connection with it, and it just takes something, the music, to another level. And it's something which seems to be lost nowadays. You see a lot of modern artists, it's just one singer, and it's just the focus is on them, and it's not necessarily all that. Where did it go? What happened to harmony? What year did harmony disappear from popular music? It's a strange thing. You're probably all going to be saying, what's he talking about? Harmonies everywhere in music. And of course there are harmonies, and there are backing singers. But you know what I mean. The art of harmony, the qualities of a number of voices doing different parts and melodies at different stages in the songs, and like the Beach Boys, obviously perfect harmonies. What happened to them? Anyway, an interesting comment I got, or 2 interesting comments I'm going to deal with here. One was from Ricarda, who made the comment about books and things, and I did a book video, and she said about she can only listen to a certain music, listening to it when she's reading a particular author. And it got me thinking now, in the past, I would perhaps read more with music playing. But it's not always an easy thing to do. Now, I don't know if you find it easy to read and listen to music. Obviously, a lot of people work with music on. You can actually write novels with music playing, but most people aren't going to necessarily have songs on with lots of lyrics or whatever. And if they do, they're going to be very, very familiar songs, which is not going to interrupt the flow, the creativity or whatever. But certain books obviously suggest certain albums, certain musics, plural, certain genres, certain artists or whatever. And one thing can trigger another. I mean, sometimes I'm reading a book and I think, I must listen to this or I must listen to that. And sometimes certain things overlap, don't they, in our cultural kind of understanding, and there are links within the culture of different pieces of music. You might think, Popol Vuh, and I must go and watch Nosferatu, because that's an obvious soundtrack. But you may be listening to something else entirely, but a little connection is made, and it makes you feel like you must watch this later. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have a tune in my head straight away, and I think I must listen to that. Or sometimes it's just a film, a thought of a film or something, I must watch it later. And so you make sure you do, and it kind of does something subconsciously to you. You've had a subconscious yearning almost. You wake up and there it is. And you have this kind of yearning to listen to that. And maybe it's an assimilation of things that have been going on subconsciously in the mind during sleep. So you've been settling things down and sorting things out. And sometimes it's just that, I must listen to that. It can be anything, can't it? We can be triggered by all sorts of things, just walking down the road, certain kinds of weather, whatever. Now, it'd be great if you could tell me if there's any books that you read that have to have a certain author or a certain kind of music playing in the background. It'd be really interesting. And another fantastic comment was from Michael Valentini, who I showed in the last couple of weeks. I did this final chat thing, and I held up Dark Side of the Moon, and he gave a really nice little story about it being an album that his dad bought him, even though he hated that music and all this stuff. And the shopkeeper had said to him, try this. His dad had taken him in, and the shopkeeper had said to Michael, try this record. And his dad had bought it for him. And the interesting thing was, though, that's something that happens with all, your dad buys you a record. But what he said was really, really interesting. And I've never heard this said by anyone, ever. And it'd be really fascinating to hear what you have to say about this, if this is true for you or has ever possibly been true. He said that Dark Side of the Moon is an album that every time he hears it, he enjoys it more. And he got it way back in the early 70s when it was released. But for 50 years, he's enjoyed it more every time he's played it. Now just think about that. You might think, oh, well, I bought a record last week and I've been enjoying it more since I bought it. 50 years and enjoying it more. Now, sometimes, of course, our moods and our different stages of our lives can affect the way we listen to music and etc., etc., and we go up and down with things. But there are certain songs I know that I can enjoy as much, and there are times I enjoy it more by listening to a song more, which I've known for 50 years. Songs I knew as a kid. I mean, there's Status Quo's Mystery Song. Always loved that song as a kid. Now, I still love that song now, and I can play it and get the same kind of enjoyment, and sometimes it's more enjoyment than the last time. But do I enjoy it more every time? Ooh, obviously, I'm just talking about one song there, but to say that you enjoy an album, that is an amazing thing to be told or to hear, really, I think. You know, it'd be fantastic to hear if you've got experience like that, where you feel there's something you enjoy much more, more and more and more and more. That's a wonderful thing, isn't it? To be able to enjoy something like that, to continually increase the enjoyment. And that's kind of what we're all in this for. I still think there's an element of, and it comes up sometimes in conversations, oh, when I was young, I only had 10 or 20 albums and I played them to death, but I really enjoyed them. And the more you get and the more you accumulate, the more you kind of are looking for that sound again. And we always say, oh, we're not really getting it. We're not really feeling like we used to. We're not really getting that same enjoyment. And you're sort of seeking it. And sometimes I think, strip it all back and just give yourself a collection of 20 records and just listen to those 20 records for a month and just see what would happen. Would you enjoy them more? Would you be hankering for the new? Would you be, oh, I really wish I could hear this or hear that? After so long, perhaps. But maybe if it was albums that you had that really connected with you when you were young and you switched off from everything else, it'd be interesting to see if it would change the way you felt about music or whether you enjoyed them more, whether you had that capacity within you still. Anyway, I was going to show a couple of things. I think I'll leave it. Time's going on here. Yeah, perhaps I'll leave it there. Anyway, next time we'll perhaps talk about a couple of music books and different things I've got here. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. You can enjoy the yellowy green background today. And if you've got this far, I'm not going to ask you to put a letter in or anything anymore. I get it. Those who watch to the end always watch to the end and always comment. And I'm telling you this now, I really appreciate it. One thing I do find a little bit strange sometimes is I tend to get about 10% likes to views. And, that's fair enough. But you might get 10% likes and a lot more people comment saying how great it is. Okay, I wasn't going to do this. I was going to say, if you got to this point, hit the like button. But people do that earlier on anyway. Those people who are really sad enough to be here in the first place. Okay, I'll probably leave it there and okay, I'll see you all later.